going on, guys? Welcome to the lesson on conditionals. So conditionals allow us to execute code based on a condition. If some specific condition is met, then a piece of code executes. If it's not met, it is not executed. In Python, the conditional we normally use is an if statement, right? So we have an if statement, and the way an if statement works is we have the word if, and then we have some sort of a condition, basically the condition that decides if our code will work or not. So we'll have if condition, and then after that we have the code we wish to execute if the condition is true. So some code, right? Let's go over an example of this. Let's say in normal English terms, I say that I won't be going to town tomorrow if it rains. Okay, how would I write that in code? So let's say we have a variable that says if it rains tomorrow or not. So let's just say forecast equals raining, right? So let's just say weather. Okay, so we have a variable weather that just says raining. Now, so I said if it rains, I am not going to go to town tomorrow. So what I'm going to do here is check if weather is equal to raining, and if it is, then I'm not going to town tomorrow. Cool. So basically what I'm doing here is I just have a variable weather that stores the value raining, and in the if statement I am just saying if weather is equal to raining, then print I'm not going to town tomorrow. Let's see what happens. I'll just clear my console. Okay, and we get I'm not going to town tomorrow. Why? Because you can see weather is raining. Let's change this to not raining, and if I run the code now, you see we get nothing. And that's because, once again, for this code to run, weather needs to be the word raining. If it's anything else, this code will not run because this condition is false. Something to note, I'm using double equal signs here. So a single equal is used to assign a value to a variable. It's basically used to assign a value to a variable. So Python uses double equals to kind of differentiate from the single equals. We use the double equal when we're checking the value of something. Now, so weather is not raining. So since this is not true, this does not run. What if I want to say if weather if it's not raining, then I'm going to town? Well, another thing I can do is if weather not equal to raining, so the opposite of this, print I'm going to town. Okay, and you can see we get I'm going to town tomorrow, because this one's false since this is not raining, and this one's true since indeed the variable weather is not equal to raining. So we get this. Now this works, but there's a better way of doing this, and that's using the else statement. So that looks like this, and the else statement is essentially equivalent to otherwise. So if I were to read this out, it would be something like if weather is raining, if weather equals raining, I'm not going to town tomorrow, else, we won't have this part, else I'm going to town tomorrow. So with the else statement, we don't really have a condition. The else is basically if the if statement is not true, then run this code. and if I execute, you see it says I'm going to town tomorrow. Yep, so that's the if and the else. If weather is raining, I'm not going to town. Otherwise or else, I'm going to town. And if I change this to raining, then we get the first one, which is I'm not going to town tomorrow. Notice that we didn't get both of those statements, we only got one. So in an if statement, only one of the statements is going to execute. So only one of these code blocks is going to execute. It's not going to execute both of these. It's just going to execute one. If it runs this one, it's not going to come to this. If it does not run this one, then it's going to come to this. Now here we're just testing one situation, which is if the weather is raining. What if we wanted to test more than one? Well, then we use elif. So elif is short for else if, and the way we use it is we type in elif and our second condition. So I can say weather equals snowing, maybe. Print I'm taking my jacket. So the way this works is it's going to check this first condition. If this is true, it's going to check this first condition. If it's true, then it's going to print I'm not going to town tomorrow, and that's it. It's going to come down here afterwards. Now if this is not true, it's going to check the second one, and if this is true, it's going to print this and come down. If it's not true, then it's going to go to the else and just print this out. So let's test it out. You can see currently weather is raining, so I get I'm not going to town tomorrow. If I change this to snowing, we get I'm taking my jacket. And if we change this to, let's just say sunny, I'm going to town tomorrow, which is this last one, because it's neither snowing nor raining. Now we can have as many elif statements as we like, so I can actually check a whole bunch of things in here if I wanted to, but we're only going to have one else statement for each if block, right? However, I can create as many if statements as I like. So I have one if statement here, but if I wanted to, I can create another one down here. That's fine. Cool. So that's really all for if statements. I'm going to give you a brief challenge, a very simple one. All you have to do is you ask the user for some number, and you're going to print out number is positive if it's more than 0, number is negative if it is less than 0, and number is 0 if it's 0. Okay, so pause the video here, give it a go, and come back once you're done. Okay, I hope you gave that a go. So the task was to ask the user for some number. So let's just say num equals input, input, enter a number, and let's convert this into a integer. You can also do float. Then let's check if the number is positive, negative, or 0. So if num greater than 0, so that's how we check for greater than, using the greater than symbol. We want to display number is positive. Elif num less than 0, print number is negative. Else number, print number is 0. Okay, let's test it out. It says enter number, let's enter 5. It says number is positive. Yep. Let's try again. Negative number, negative 7, number is negative, and let's try 0, and we get number is 0. Cool. Now if I wanted to, I could actually skip on the else statement. So I can just do num equals 0 print. Probably should not have deleted that, but that's fine. And if I run this now, 5 was positive, -5, negative, and 0. Yep. And you see it works fine. If you want, you can omit the else statement. So it's not mandatory that you include it with all of your if statements. Yep. Awesome. So to recap, we use if statements to execute code conditionally. That means based on a condition, and the format is if some condition, then the code you wish to write. Note, the code we wish to execute, if the condition is true, is going to be indented inwards. That's how Python basically tells what's the code you want to execute if the if statement is true, right? So yeah, and you wanna have all these spaces equal. So if you're using 4 spaces or a 1 tab, then you wanna make sure that you are using that throughout, otherwise you'll run into errors. Cool. So that's all for today, and happy coding.